At 3:17 a.m., the emergency call came from a rural farmhouse outside Wilmington, Ohio. A man in his early 30s stood trembling beside a shattered bathroom mirror, blood soaking his hands, unable to say his own name. A child's voice cried faintly in the background, "Daddy, what did you do?" Police arrived to find a man with no ID, no memory, and no history. No one in town had ever seen him before. But someone knew exactly who he was. The mirror was broken in 6 places. Each shard caught a different sliver of the man's face, none of them the same. His hands were sticky with blood, not pouring, just smeared, like he tried to wipe something away. The bathroom was too bright, tile too white. Every heartbeat was a drumbeat. Every breath a gasp. He didn't know where he was. He didn't know who he was. His left hand trembled as he reached up to touch the gash over his right eyebrow. He didn't remember falling. Didn't remember hitting anything. A towel lay on the floor, soaked in red. A voice from down the hallway pierced the silence, tiny, frightened, high-pitched. "Daddy." The word ripped through him like glass. He turned, dizzy. The hallway was narrow, lit by a bare bulb swinging overhead. At the end stood a girl, no more than 5, in a Minnie Mouse nightgown. Blonde, tear-streaked, holding a stuffed rabbit by the ear. "Daddy, are you okay?" she whispered. He wanted to say yes, but the word caught in his throat. His mouth moved. Nothing came out. "Daddy." She took a step forward. He backed away like she was fire. She stopped. Her little lip trembled. "Did Mommy come home yet?" He didn't know what to say. The air felt too thin. The girl blinked. "Where's Mommy?" There were no photos in the hall. No signs of other people. Just peeling wallpaper, the faint smell of bleach and mildew, and a ticking sound, not a clock, something mechanical. He didn't know why he noticed that. But he did. He finally croaked, his voice gravel. "I don't know." Her eyes widened. He looked around for a phone. Found one on the kitchen wall, the old kind with a cord. He dialed 911 with shaking fingers. When the operator answered, he said the only thing he could. "I think I hurt someone." A pause. "Sir, what's your name?" He looked down at his blood-stained shirt. A flannel. Torn at the sleeve. "I don't know." "Where are you?" It's a farmhouse." There's a little girl here. She says I'm her dad." "Is she injured?" "No." "Are you?" "I don't know." A pause. "I think someone's missing." Police arrived 17 minutes later. The man stood in the driveway with his palms open, facing the dark field beyond. A patrol officer gently took the girl inside. Another began photographing the blood trail in the hallway. In the basement, they found something else, a hidden door, freshly pried open. Inside, a chair with restraints. And a wedding ring. No one had seen the woman who lived there, Annabelle Crane, in almost 3 weeks. The man sat cuffed in the back of the cruiser, staring at his hands like they belonged to someone else. The blood had dried into his knuckles. They weren't his hands. That's what he kept thinking. These are someone else's hands. "Sir, we need your name," said the deputy in the passenger seat. "Anything you remember. Even a nickname." He shook his head slowly. "There's nothing." "You don't know your name. But you remember English?" "I think so." "You know that girl's your daughter?" "She said that." "I didn't recognize her." The officer leaned back, exchanged a glance with the driver. Quiet murmurs passed between them. Phrases like psych eval and neurological trauma. Someone mentioned dissociative fugue. It didn't register. None of it stuck. He stared at the reflection of his face in the cruiser window, or what he could make of it. Pale. Shadowed. Blue eyes. Stubble on his chin. A scar near his collarbone. Had that always been there? He turned away. The trees outside blurred by. At the county hospital, they ran tests. Blood. CT scan. MRI. Fingerprints. No hits in any database. No driver's license. No priors. Nothing. Dr. Kinsey, a neuropsychologist in a worn gray cardigan, examined him late into the evening. "You've suffered some kind of retrograde amnesia," she said gently. "Possibly dissociative. Maybe even trauma-induced fugue. We're not sure yet." "I didn't hit my head," he said. No obvious signs of physical injury, which is what makes this unusual. He looked out the window. "Do you remember the girl?" she asked. "No." "But you spoke to her. You knew how." "I didn't feel like her father." Kinsey nodded slowly, scribbled something down. "That disconnect you're describing, it's common in certain types of identity disruption. The mind can partition off whole parts of reality. Even people." He looked at her. "Is there a chance I'm not him? That I'm not this girl's father?" She hesitated. "We're running a DNA test." A long silence. "What if I am?" he whispered. That question hung in the sterile air. Later that night, the girl, Ellie, was placed into temporary custody with a foster family in town. She screamed when they tried to take her. "He's not bad," she cried. "He's not bad. Mommy said he gets scared sometimes." The nurses wrote it off as trauma. But the social worker, a woman named Louisa, lingered at the doorway, watching the girl cling to her stuffed rabbit like it was the only thing keeping her tethered. That same night, in the evidence locker at the sheriff's office, an officer bagged the items recovered from the basement. Among them, a small black notebook with strange symbols, a wedding ring with dried blood in the groove, and a key marked 7C. The notebook had one phrase scrawled over and over again in shaky handwriting. "I am not who I was. I am not who I was. I am not who I was." By morning, the man in the hospital bed awoke from a nightmare, gasping, a scream locked in his throat. The name, Annabelle, was the only word he remembered. But it wasn't her name he was screaming. It was someone else's. A man's. And it wasn't fear in his voice. It was hate. He woke up screaming, "Travis." The nurse came running. So did Dr. Kinsey. He sat up, clutching his chest like the air had been ripped from his lungs. "Travis," he gasped again, eyes wild. "He was in the house. I saw him. In the mirror. He was me." Dr. Kinsey moved closer, calm but alert. "Travis is a name? Someone you knew?" "I don't know," he said. "I don't know if it's me or him." "You said he was in the mirror?" He nodded, hands shaking. He was smiling. Kinsey exchanged a look with the nurse, then turned back. "That sounds like a dream. But it could also be a memory. Or a projection." He stared at her. Sometimes, in states of identity fragmentation, the brain will externalize a piece of itself. Give it a name. A face. Someone to contain the parts it can't bear to hold. "You think I made him up. I think your mind might be trying to protect you." But he wasn't convinced. That name, Travis, it had weight. It lived in his throat like a splinter. And the face in the dream had been clear. Not a blur. Not abstract. That man had a scar above his eye. So did he. That afternoon, Sheriff Colton paid him a visit. DNA test came back. The sheriff said, "A man in his 50s with tired eyes. You're Ellie's father." The words landed like bricks. "But there's more," the sheriff added. "We searched the property again. That locked freezer in the barn, we forced it open." A pause. "You might want to sit down." He already was. There were bones inside. Small ones. "We don't have full ID yet, but there's signs of surgical scarring. Same kind your wife Annabelle had from her C-section 5 years ago." The man blinked. "You think that Ellie's not the only child?" "We're not sure yet." He shook his head. No, she never said." He stopped. The sheriff narrowed his eyes. "What do you mean she?" The man froze. "Ellie. She's 5. What did she say to you?" "She said Mommy gets scared. She said I'm not bad." Colton leaned in. "Anything else?" The man paused. His head throbbed. "She said Mommy had secrets." The sheriff's mouth tightened. Outside the hospital, a storm rolled in. Back at the sheriff's office, they examined the black notebook from the basement again, each page more erratic than the last. Strange phrases began to appear between the "I am not who I was" lines. "He buried the truth in my mouth. She said it wouldn't hold forever. The mirror knows. The mirror knows." Later, a technician noticed something odd. Ultraviolet light revealed more writing beneath the scribbles. Faint, like it had been erased. For names, only one legible, Travis H. Crane. The others, scratched out beyond recognition. When they showed it to the man in the hospital, his skin went cold. "Crane," he whispered. "That's my last name." Colton nodded. "You said the name Travis in your sleep. That ring from the basement? It's engraved inside. To Travis, forever." "Hey." The man looked down at his hands. At the scar. At the fragments of a self that didn't fit. "I don't think I'm Travis," he whispered. "Then who are you?" He didn't answer. But for the first time, he looked afraid to find out. They found the body 2 days later. A hiker's dog caught the scent near the edge of a cornfield 7 miles from the farmhouse. Shallow grave. Hands bound. The remains had decomposed beyond easy recognition, but fragments of a yellow blouse matched a missing persons report. Annabelle Crane, 32, last seen shopping for groceries 3 weeks prior. The wedding ring was gone. They called him in for identification, though they already had the DNA match. He stared at the photo of her blouse, the delicate pattern of white roses printed along the hem. His throat closed. "I remember this," he said. Dr. Kinsey leaned forward. The shirt. No. The dirt. He blinked hard. I remember digging. My hands were blistered. Can you remember why? He shook his head. I didn't want to. That's what I kept thinking. I didn't want to. Kinsey wrote something down. She was my wife? Yes. And I buried her. We don't know that yet. But she died on that property. Someone wanted her hidden. He pressed his palms into his eyes. I need to talk to Ellie. That's not possible right now. She knows something. She said something. Right now, we need to focus on you, Kinsey said gently. This is your trauma too. He let out a bitter laugh. What if I am the trauma? She didn't answer. That night, he couldn't sleep. The dreams came again, faster now. Not just flashes. Whole scenes. Him screaming in the hallway. A broken plate on the floor. Annabelle with a bruise under her eye, holding Ellie behind her like a shield. Then the door slammed. Silence. Another dream. Him sitting in the basement, staring at his own reflection in a shattered mirror. Writing furiously in a black notebook. One line over and over. Not me. Not me. Not me. When he woke, his pillow was wet with tears. And in the mirror of the hospital bathroom, for a split second, he saw Travis again, not as a dream, but as a memory, standing over Annabelle's body with a hammer. Meanwhile, in town, Louisa, the social worker, visited Ellie at her foster placement. The girl had been quiet for days, withdrawn. But that evening, while coloring in the corner of the playroom, she looked up and whispered, "Are they going to bring Daddy back?" Louisa knelt beside her. "Do you miss him?" Ellie nodded. "Do you remember what happened before the police came?" The girl's eyes dropped to her paper. She drew a red house. Black windows. "Mommy said Daddy was sick," she said softly. "But not sick like coughing. Sick in the head." Louisa's heart sank. She said he needed to go back to the hospital again. But Daddy said he wouldn't go this time. He said it was Travis's fault. Louisa froze. "What do you mean?" she asked gently. Ellie looked at her. "Daddy and Travis live in the same face." She went back to coloring. Back at the hospital, Kinsey sat in her office, flipping through old case files. Something about the handwriting in the notebook wouldn't leave her alone. She found what she was looking for in an archived psychiatric report from 2013. Patient, Travis Crane. Diagnosis, dissociative identity disorder. Primary alter, the other. Symptoms, fugue states, self-injury, memory blackouts. Treatment discontinued after patient stopped attending. Final note, the alter's voice is calm, even childlike. But there is an intense undercurrent of guilt. He keeps asking one question over and over. What did I do? Kinsey sat back, hand to her mouth. Travis hadn't been missing for 3 weeks. Travis had been missing for 12 years. And someone else had been living in his place. The room was silent but tense, like the moment before a storm cracks the sky. Dr. Kinsey sat across from him, the folder in her lap heavy with everything he didn't want to know. She didn't speak right away. She let the space between them stretch like a wire pulled too tight. Finally, she said it. You were diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder 12 years ago, under the name Travis Crane. He didn't move. You were in treatment for nearly 2 years. Then you stopped coming. No one heard from you after that. Until now. He shook his head. That's not right. That's not. You kept journals. Black ones. Same kind as the one we found. You created an alter, another identity, to carry what you couldn't. Possibly more than one. We don't know how many. His breathing picked up. I'm not him. I can't be. Kinsey leaned forward. You might not be. Not right now. But someone inside you was. He pressed his fists to his temples, like he could squeeze the truth out. No. I remember, watching. I saw it happen. I saw what he did. That wasn't me. I swear to God. I believe you, Kinsey said. He looked up, desperate. You do? I believe you saw something. And that part of you, the part I'm speaking to now, has been protecting you ever since. Silence. Then a whisper. Why would I need protection? Kinsey took a slow breath. Because you loved Annabelle. And you killed her. Meanwhile, Ellie's foster home received an unmarked envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside, a single photo. A boy, maybe 7 years old, with ice blue eyes and a wide, toothy grin, standing in front of the same white farmhouse, holding a shovel. Written on the back, in shaky handwriting. Ask her who he was before the accident. The foster mother gave it to the social worker, who gave it to Sheriff Colton, who stormed into Kinsey's office just before midnight. He threw the photo on her desk. Where the hell did this come from? Kinsey stared at it, stunned. I've never seen this child, she said. But the face in the photo, those eyes, were unmistakable. It was Travis, only younger, much younger, and something else. In the corner of the photo, barely visible, a hand, reaching for the boy's shoulder. A woman's hand. Annabelle's. The next morning, Kinsey brought Ellie into the hospital under tight supervision. She and the man sat on opposite sides of a glass partition. He leaned forward. Ellie, it's me. The girl nodded solemnly. Do you know who I am? She tilted her head. Your daddy. He closed his eyes in relief. Do you remember when Mommy got scared? Ellie's lips trembled. She said you were turning into him again. Like before. Before when? Before I was born. She said you stopped being Travis a long time ago. He looked at Kinsey. Ellie continued, whispering now. She said I was the only part you kept. His mouth went dry. She said she had to keep you safe from the others. That they lived in the dark places. In the walls. In the mirror. Ellie placed her hand on the glass. Are the others still in there? She asked softly. He didn't answer. He couldn't. Because as she stared at him through the glass, he saw something shift in his own reflection. A smirk. A twitch. A look that didn't belong to him. Travis was still here. And he wasn't alone. He stopped sleeping. Every time he closed his eyes, they came, not dreams, but voices. Low murmurs beneath the surface of thought. Some whispering in sorrow. Some laughing in mockery. And one that screamed like a child locked in a closet. They were inside him. All of them. Kinsey scheduled round-the-clock observation. He was kept in a private room with no mirrors, no reflective surfaces. But it didn't matter. He could still feel them. Watching. Waiting. Sometimes, he'd catch a glimpse of himself in a spoon or a doorknob, and something in his eyes would be wrong. Like they weren't his anymore. And the worst part? He was starting to forget again. Names. Dates. Even Ellie's face blurred around the edges. Kinsey sat with him every evening, trying to draw out fragments. Sometimes she'd get a full minute of clarity. Sometimes he'd sit in silence, lips moving soundlessly, like he was arguing with someone no one else could see. One night, he spoke in a voice that wasn't his. Flat. Measured. Almost cold. She buried the tapes under the floorboards, he said. Kinsey froze. What tapes? But he just smiled. Vacant. As if someone else had borrowed his mouth. The sheriff secured a warrant to tear up the farmhouse floor. They found them under the living room. 6 cassette tapes in a metal tin, labeled by year. 2011 through 2016. Each marked with a single name. Travis. Nathan. Julian. Caleb. Lucy. The tapes were recorded therapy sessions. Old ones. From the clinic where Travis had first been diagnosed. One by one, they played them back. Travis, calm, articulate, describing his alternate selves. His system. Each alter had a role. One took the beatings from his father. One learned to smile and lie. One held the grief of his mother's overdose. Another, the youngest, didn't speak at all, just cried and rocked back and forth in the dark. And then there was the unknown one. On the 6th tape, the psychiatrist asked about it. And who is the one you don't name? I don't let him out. Why not? Because he likes it. The hurting. Hurting others? Hurting her. Who, Travis? My wife. He calls her the lock. Says she's keeping the rest of us caged. The tape clicked. The room was dead silent. Kinsey turned to Sheriff Colton. Annabelle wasn't trying to hide Travis, she said. She was trying to contain him. That night, the man stopped speaking altogether. For hours he sat in the hospital bed, unmoving, unblinking, whispering something under his breath no one could hear. They brought Ellie in again, hoping she might anchor him. But when she walked into the room, he didn't look at her. He looked past her and smiled. A smile that wasn't his. Ellie froze. Her hand trembled. You're not Daddy, she said softly. The smile widened. No, he whispered. But he's watching. She stepped back. Tears welled in her eyes. Where is he? In the mirror, the voice said. Can he come back? A pause. Then, only if someone breaks the glass. That night, at 3:17 a.m., the man shattered the hospital bathroom mirror. Just like he had at the farmhouse. Just like before. When the nurses rushed in, he was bleeding from both hands, laughing softly. And on the wall above the sink, scrawled in blood. I remember now. The hospital lockdown was immediate. Glass sealed off. Psychiatric emergency protocols initiated. Dr. Kinsey was called in from home, arriving just after dawn. She found him sedated, wrists wrapped, eyes glazed but aware. Waiting. He didn't speak until she sat down. Then, in a quiet, steady voice, he said, "I remember everything." She held her breath. "Tell me." 12 years ago, Travis had been spiraling. The trauma of his childhood, the abuse, the neglect, the near-death experience at age 7, had fractured him. By the time he met Annabelle, he was already living as someone else. Someone calmer. Someone better. She fell in love with that version. The one who smiled. The one who never raised his voice. She never knew about the others. But as their marriage deepened, after Ellie was born, things began to crack. One by one, the altars started surfacing again. Not violently, at first. Just in confusion. Forgetting birthdays. Driving to places he didn't recognize. Waking up on the floor with blood on his hands and no memory of why. Annabelle tried to help. Tried to believe him. But then one night, Ellie went missing for 6 hours. They found her asleep in the barn, unharmed but cold and confused. That's when Annabelle found the notebook. The one with the list of names. The one he didn't remember writing. "She gave me a choice," he told Kinsey, voice shaking now. "She said we had to go back to therapy. That she was going to take Ellie away if I didn't." He looked up, eyes glassy. "But it wasn't me who said no." Kinsey nodded slowly. "Travis. He called her the lock. Said she was suffocating us. Said Ellie would be better off without her." "What happened that night?" He swallowed. "I lost time. Hours. When I came back, she was on the floor. Her head," he stopped. "I tried to stop the bleeding. I swear I did. But he was laughing inside. I could hear him. Tears rolled down his cheeks. I buried her with his hands." Kinsey sat with him for a long time. No notes. No questions. When she finally stood to leave, he grabbed her wrist, not harshly, like a drowning man reaching for air. "You have to protect Ellie," he said. "You have to keep her away from mirrors." Kinsey frowned. "Why mirrors?" He leaned in. "Because that's where he waits." 6 months later, the man, now legally declared Travis Crane, was transferred to a high-security psychiatric facility for long-term dissociative disorder patients. He remained compliant, cooperative, but never allowed mirrors in his room, not even polished metal. He spent most of his days drawing. Sometimes Ellie's face, sometimes a door, sometimes a shape that looked like a human figure without a face. Ellie was adopted by her foster family. She grew quiet, cautious, but not broken. One evening, her foster mother found her sitting in the hallway, staring into a small mirror she'd hidden beneath her bed. "Ellie," she asked gently, "what are you doing?" The girl didn't blink. "I'm waiting," she whispered. "For what?" Ellie turned and smiled. "For Daddy to come back."